Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Gregs, coming to you on the 21st of January, 2021. Time on deck, 23:04 hours Central Standard Time. Now that the fog is beginning to settle, the dust is clearing out of the air, we can begin to have a little clearer picture for what might come in 2021 and the next 4 years to follow. Because now we have an administration in place and they've told us kind of what they want to do and where they want to go. And so we have to realize where this can take us, what is in store. As you know, the tensions in this country are still extremely high. And this election didn't settle the tensions. They just kind of shifted things to the other side of the aisle in terms of control. But you got to remember, 74 million people voted for the side that did not retain control. But that division is still pretty close and it's still fever pitched in both directions. Therefore, we've got a very challenging time ahead of us. The side that won really thinks they have a mandate, or they will try to use everything to their advantage that they can, which is what typically happens in this country. But it doesn't, they've talked peace and reconciliation, but, and on one side, but also the language coming out suggests a whole lot of other. We're going to get all into some of this stuff here. Well, briefly, just in a summary form right now. We may go into more of it in the future as it pertains to the proposition of this channel, which help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. So, Greg, why are you bringing us this? It's part of my head on the swivel, eyes wide open, head on the swivel news. I'll bring this to you so you'll know that you do need to get ready. You do need to be prepared for the times that's coming at us. And I'll tell you, one of the best things you can do to assert your own independence and be ready is grow a garden. Not only does it provide you food that you can eat, and if the times get hard, you might not be able to get it otherwise, but it also enables you to be outside some, to divert your attention a little bit and do something that helps the soul. Growing things, making things grow is an enormously healing thing for you to do. It's good for you, it'll be good for the environment, and get you outdoors, get you breathing fresh air, getting a little vitamin D. And if you don't have a place to grow, there are city community gardens in a lot of cities, but you can also grow in pots and containers. And you can grow indoors. I've got videos on my channel way back down here showing you how to grow food indoors. It's one of the best things you can do. And along that line, you can help yourself and help this channel by going to True Leaf Market using the link that's posted in the show notes or in the pin notes below. So check out my link to True Leaf Market. That'll help me and help you, because you get heirloom seeds there, which is the kind that you need. Open pollinated heirloom seeds are what you need to be able to harvest the seeds from your plant and have the expectation of getting the same kind of plant back. Those hybrid seeds don't give you what you want back. So that's the way to go when you want to grow, especially if you want it to be sustainable year in and year out. Because some of the things I teach in my gardening videos is how to garden and develop things in such a way that you don't have to go to the store. You're growing your own and producing your own fertilizer with worms and composting and things like that, worm tea. And I'll go more into that in the future. There'll be more of those videos and more videos about how to eat free from the weeds and the trees, wild foraging, wild crafting. And for the medicinals, they used to call that witchcrafting in many circles, witching, which is just getting herbs for your medicinal purposes. I'm not talking about witchcraft per se. Okay. So, yeah. All that said, yeah, go to True Leaf Market. Use my link to that. Now, we're going to take a little look in the crystal ball to see what really does 2021 hold for us. Well, really and truly, all we got to do is listen to what they say. Well, wait a minute. Let's take a good look. Maybe we can see something here. Wait a minute. What do I see? Oh, it's an eyeball. Is that what I see? Anyway, so the all-seeing eye. That's the future. Some people want that to be the future. Yeah, state control, watching everything you do, big brother. Yeah, that might be on tap more and more as we go down the road, especially with big tech. Big tech. Something to do about it. Okay, but we're going to take this bit by bit. There's some things that are given. The Joe Biden has told us some things he's going to do. He's already signed a bunch of executive orders. He's killed the Keystone Pipeline, shut down the Arctic oil business a lot more than what it was. So he's containing. He's in no more drilling, blah blah blah. I don't know. These are the directions we're going. They're going in the direction to shut down fossil fuels. What does this mean? Well, it might sound great for the environment and thus and so forth, maybe, according to some people who subscribe to global warming, anthropocentric, anthropocentric, carbon-based global warming. If you subscribe to that, then you might think that's a good thing. If you don't subscribe to it, you'll think it's a terrible thing. Whatever the case is, what it does tell you is this: energy costs are going to go up. There's no way around that with this approach. And it may also be that energy supplies will go down as energy prices go up. And this could be similar to what we see in California. They have a lot of blackouts, rolling brownouts, blackouts, and things like that. As you get more and more on renewable energies, if you don't have adequate storage capacities to store those energies where intermittently available, then you can expect that there may be caps. Remember, our power grid is an instantaneous system. It provides instantaneously what it generates. If the generating capacity falls short, then there's going to be shortages. That's just like mathematics. Except you might know that 1 and 1 are 3 for sufficiently large values of 1. Rounding things up. Yeah, 1.4 plus 1.4 is equal to 2.8. It's 2.8, round up to 3. Just having a little fun, guys. Okay. So that's one thing you can expect. Social media, we just touched on it. You might think, well, okay, the election's over, so social media is going to go back, and let things go because they know the election's over and it won't be so bad. Well, no, not immediately. Not immediately. In fact, you can expect more control. They're talking about double down on it. In fact, the winning party is talking about going after people in the party that did not win. Specifically, at first they're talking about the leadership and stuff like that, but a lot of them are giving language about taking a whole lot farther. And in fact, Brennan was on media recently, being pretty explicit about things that he thought ought to be done. And it might sound okay what he said on the surface, but sometimes you got to realize some of these guys interpret certain words a lot broader than what most people would interpret them. And when you read some of the things they're writing and some of the directions they're going, you might think that the intention is to go after all conservatives, all conservative talk, all conservative think. And some of them are just coming out and saying this in some articles, some writers and journalists. And, we had the guy at NPR saying, hey, we ought to take the children away from all the conservatives and re-educate them. And some of them said that they should take conservatives and re-educate them. Oh, Brennan said, this list of groups that he thought were terrible and insurgents, in his words, included libertarians. He said, and libertarians. All libertarians are insurgents. Really? I find some of that language to be highly disturbing. Charge, actually, especially with the way he said he's going to go after them. That is scary. But then again, he weaponized the CIA, did he not? To go after certain things that were outside this country. Now that they can turn it around and aim these same tools in on us. And some of them appear to be salivating at that. At least that's the appearances to some people. Now, a lot of these people say, oh, no, it don't mean that. Some of them are actually saying it. So we shall see. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. But if you really want to throw gasoline on the fire, oh yeah, that's going to stoke it. It may not work as well as you want, unless you just really want to see a civil war. Let's hope we don't come to that. So I think some people really love that. And I warn you, that's the worst thing you could possibly imagine. You don't want that. It would be horrible. Very horrible. So let's hope that don't happen. But they basically said that they want a war on certain things here within the United States. A war. They'll use that language. and then their interpretation. When they start including, they use these words, these weaponized words, and then extend it, even in Brennan, what he said, and then you just start including everything to include libertarians. In general, really? Really? Does that mean that anybody that likes liberty is included in that? Does that mean if you're a fan of this, you're included in that? What does that mean? So you say, I don't mean that. Well, what did he say? Well, if you look at what he said, it's a little disturbing. The exact words he said without interpretation are disturbing, especially when he names libertarians. Now, on the surface, on those other words, I would agree that, you don't want certain elements in our society. We do not, and I am opposed to racism. Very much opposed to it, because I have a mixed daughter and a mixed granddaughter, the different mix. I oppose that. But, some people go really broad with these interpretations. So we got to be careful how things are interpreted and how they're applied. But, Brennan is not exactly one of my favorite individuals. Brennan, Comey, yeah, they're an interesting group there. So now there will be some pushback on this, especially the social media aspects, where the social media is trying to clamp down on everything. A lot of people are abandoning these big social media companies. It can cost them a significant market share. They seem to care more about control and political ambitions, though, than they do the profitability of their own companies. Okay, yeah, anything that's hate should be taken out. I'm good with that. Don't yell fire in a theater. Don't do things that are illegal. But, the interpretation of these things, we have to watch these things. It just so happens that President Trump is talking about starting his own media company, news media company. That may be something else you'll see this year. He may start that. If he does that, he will have a lot of people flocking to him. It will take an enormous market share away from existing platforms. Because they have an existing infrastructure, they actually may be filing bankruptcy because they won't be able to support that infrastructure, perhaps, when he takes away a very significant portion of their market share. I mean, maybe close to half. Even if it's just 30%, that will hurt those platforms very significantly. And as a result, his millions will multiply astronomically. He will have both more power in money and in voice than maybe he ever had as president. This would make him very formidable individual. Of course, a lot of people will try to have him arrested, put him down, shut him down in every way they can. They can be, really. They turn the FCC against him. Will the laws he passed be illegal? Will he challenge them in court? Oh yeah, you bet he will. How will the Supreme Court rule? That depends. I don't trust Justice Roberts, but Supreme Court might rule in favor of them until they pack the Supreme Court with add 20 more judges to it in the next year or two, if they can pull that off. Yeah, so there's a lot of going to be strife. There's a lot of strife within the government. There will be strife within social media coming up. If social media is like one club right now, they all say the same thing. Blah blah blah. At that point, it may change. Maybe. Again, this part is in a more speculative range of what may come. But Trump's already showed an interest in this. The people that are on the social media platforms now, lots of them are already leaving. And lots of them would flock there if he set that up. Because right now, there's the big corporate, social media giants, and there's a zillion little guys. If you get one big fish coming in the pond, it's all going to collect there. You'd see mergers of all these little guys, and that would absorb them all up like a black hole, swallowing up stars and building a big galaxy. That's what can really take off. Trump could become far richer, like many times over beyond what he's at now. And the other social media guys would lose very much. So he would gain money and power, voice, far more than he had probably, maybe. A lot of people are still mad at him right now, even on the right. But if he handles this correctly, he might possibly rebuild that. I myself are a bit skeptical of him. How come he did not pardon Julian Assange or do anything for him, or Snowden? I think that's a valid question. Some people think I'm a full-blown Trumpster because I've been picking on the left a bit lately. I've been picking on the left because they've been picking on my freedoms. But before I picked on them, I did a video picking on Trump on the Julian Assange matter. I asked if he was, in fact, a covert agent of the deep state. Because I said, look, he's a billionaire, he's from New York, and he was friends with the Clintons. And, you know, oh yeah, all those things that said, you know, that he was going to retain power and stay in Washington, D.C. All those people running around saying all that stuff didn't quite pan out, did I? think maybe I should do a whole video on that. Yeah, and you know what? I was attacking that too. Because I was saying that stuff was a psyop. Just to keep people from doing anything. So they would lay back down. So I'll lay back down and go to sleep. Don't you worry your pretty little heads. We got it all covered. We're going to do this. But see, that story kept propagating. It went on for 4 years and people kept buying. Right then, oh, he's going to stay in control. I watched a video in the morning of the inauguration. Somebody was actually seeing buses going through town and their cognitive dissonance was so bad they thought that he was rounded, that 14,000 people were being rounded up those buses and carried off. You know what it was? It was just buses, carting National Guard troops. This guy in his mind, he had it so fixed that he believed it. And he put it out there on social media. Probably got tons of views. Didn't happen. Oh yeah, remember that what's his name? Played Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks. Yeah, he was supposed to be in Guantanamo, right? You know, behind bars. Months ago. Never happened. Yeah, see, guys, a lot of stuff gets put out there. Lots of stuff gets thrown at you guys. It's coming from everywhere. And you're all just, it's just what you want to hear. It's hopium. So you're just slurping it up. Hopium. But sometimes if you really stop and step back at it, look at it, it don't pass the critical thinking test. You start looking at how all this stuff adds up, how long these things are being said. Well, we're going to do it here, they're going to do it here, they're going to do it here, they're going to do it here. Like they keep moving the goalpost. Now we've got a new man in the White House, and they moved the goalpost again. Now they're claiming, oh, well, we're going to set up a whole new Capitol. Really? Really? That is not something I'm predicting for 2021. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. Boy, you'd have a civil war then. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. But, you know, I wouldn't be smoking too much of that hopium. You might get disappointed. Because everything else they predicted would happen, ain't none of it happened. Now, some of the things that they were charging, hey, I don't know. We know there were some problems. We know there was a Jeffrey Epstein. How far did that extend? We know there's a whole lot of people keep secrets, and maybe they got something over their head to make them keep those secrets. And that's a whole nother topic. But I am not into the guy who's in a group that's referred to by the letter with a squiggly tail. Like I said, they've been selling overdoses of opium for some time, and I've referred to it as a psyop. So be careful. Be careful. And go in and read that 1871 Act, by the way. I keep hearing that one too. Go in and read it. Just look it up. It was all about the district, inside the District of Columbia, okay? And at first, you know, they had the District of Columbia was set up as a 10 square mile federal district. And it had parts of Washington, D.C. and parts of Virginia. That was like the 1804 business. And then they ceded part of it back to Virginia and kept what was in Maryland. And in Maryland, there was two separate cities, Georgetown and Washington. And there was the county. And each had different governments in there, and they were totally dysfunctional. Population was rising fast. So in 1871, they tried to fix that. But their fix was to make it a territory, and that didn't work. So they made it a municipality. So the 1871 thing was swept away in 1874. So the 1871 thing is already out. But it all was strictly, the language it speaks strictly to within the District of Columbia. So, nah. That didn't happen. I'll give credit to Jeffrey Dahmer for it. Never mind. Jeffrey, not him. Excuse me. Pardon me. Boy, if I was editing, I'd totally edit that out. Oh, I got brain lock. So, Jeffrey, Christian whistleblower. Help me out, guys. Now I said that, my brain just went fried. All right. So, yeah, my apologies, Jeffrey. my apologies. My apologies. I didn't mean that. Got brain locked, and that happens to me sometimes. All right. So, and when you get one word in your head, getting it out and getting the right word in, sometimes just like it just gets stuck in there and I can't get it out. So hang on, I'll get there. Jeffrey Daughtery. But let's start with a D, okay? All right, Jeffrey Daughtery. Thank you. Starts with a D. Sorry there, Jeffrey. Yeah, he did actually come out tonight and talk about some of that. So, and he was laying it on the line correctly on that respect. And I'd already seen that. I saw his topic up. Oh man, I got to chime in there. And it actually made me late for doing this video because I just thought, well, I got to see this, because I think he might be hitting it right. So I was glad somebody laying it out there. All right. And I don't see eye now on everything, but we agree to disagree on a few things because we agree on central things that are where our country's at right now. All right, a lot of that. So I don't know if we agree on what to do about it. We haven't figured that out yet. So don't put too many words in my mouth, but we agree on at least some of the problems we're facing in this country. All right. So these tensions. So these tensions are ratcheted up some by the fact that the Dems are going after the conservatives, basically, and libertarians. That's one side that's really throwing fuel on the fire. But it's more than that. The Civil War tensions are quite high, in fact, because a lot of people, even on the left, aren't happy, even with Biden. I mean, you look at this. We just had the day, just right at the elections. I mean, not elections, the inauguration. We had riots by Antifa in Portland and someone in Seattle, too. Anti-Biden riots. Now, the operative thing is the Antifa is so far to the left, they consider AOC to be a right-wing conservative. Yeah, pretty much. Wow, right? Yeah. In fact, some of them actually, one of them made a statement that says, we are ungovernable. Okay, that sounds like anarchist. So, if you go far enough around the circle, like, in the middle is moderates, and over here is conservatives, and over here is liberals, or vice versa, however you want to put it. You keep going back around and getting toward the totalitarianistic aspects they meet. So they have total totalitarianism. Maybe up here is total freedom, okay? Maybe that would be a quad that you could draw in a circle around it. But, eventually they meet in totalitarianism that really don't make a whole lot of difference. They're both totalitarian when you get too far out there. Or in that case, maybe just anarchy. Anarchy. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes anarchy seems like it might be favorable. There are some attributes of anarchy. Okay, Antifa. But yeah, I'm not advocating that, okay, my friends. I'm not advocating any of these groups. I advocate no group that does violence. It's not needed unless you've got to protect yourself. Or if the CW and get started, if it was really rolling, you got to protect yourselves. Okay, so like I said, those are terrible things. Okay, we'll talk more about it now. Now, I've said there's ways to still work for our freedom, to fight for our freedom, without, making the literal, the legalistic contests are sometimes called fights. Don't weaponize the words, guys. It happened a lot late. So, we know that so there's going to be a lot of tension. There's going to be a lot of tension between these groups on the left side and the right side, both. And we may wind up in a very uncivil war. Civil, meaning within the society. Okay, it's a legal term. Anyway, so We also know that the president does not support, and he's adamantly said he's going to go after certain bang bangs. He is against what some people see as being defended here. You know, I come down on the side of liberty and freedom and rights. So try not to get the platform here too excited by what I'm saying. But I'm just telling you that he has explicitly said he's going to go after certain things. Now, he's going to meet some resistance, especially up in the court system, until he can find a way to stack it, potentially. But I'm expecting states are right now already starting to look at and line up to do something I've been advocating, which is your sanctuary states. You can have sanctuary counties, and that's something I'm going to come back to in a little bit. And that is certainly one way to address this for now. What I worry about is the Hegelian dialectic. If you want a certain outcome, you create a problem and propose a solution to take you to the outcome. Sometimes those kind of events are characterized by a couple letters, a repeat of a letter that typically follows the letter that starts my first name. Sometimes. So I'm kind of expecting, let me put this way, I would not be surprised if there's not a ginormous, ugly, heinous event coming up real soon. Could happen. All to employ the Hegelian dialectic. I hope not. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? Don't be surprised. That could be something that would really ratchet up the fire, the angst, to nix that. You know what I mean? So, you've got to be careful. Keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. If you see something that you can prevent, bingo. It might be making a phone call. Hey, something's about to go down. Get on the ground. Come over here. Yo, sheriff, come over here. Just need some help, need some attention, because it takes a while to get anywhere. You call them up and take them. I called a EMA when my ex-wife broke her leg. I lived diagonally at the opposite corner of the county than where she lived at the time. And it took, with me speeding, it took 30 minutes to get down to where she was at. My daughter calls me and says, Mama fell and broke her leg. A leg break can be serious, especially if it's a compound fracture that splits through the skin, because you've got blood veins in a leg that are big enough, arteries, that you could bleed to death in minutes. So a broken leg is very serious. I tell my daughter, before I leave here, call 911. She does. I drive clear across the county. Mind you, there was an ambulance center 2 miles from where she lived. I drive clear across the county, and I get there. There's no ambulances there. I call 911. I'm furious. Oh, they're already there. I go, oh, no, they're, oh, yes, they're already there. Oh, no, they're not. Oh, yes, they are. So I am standing right here. They are not here. The woman's still arguing. Oh, yeah, they're here. They're there. Woman, I am standing right here. There is no one in sight. I see, apparently the lameness got lost. They called her and said they were there. They didn't come for about another 10 minutes. I threw a fit. So don't count on emergency services to get to you real fast. That's why that's why the liberties to protect yourself might be kind of sort of important. One of the reasons, just one. I've talked about other such reasons. But though, if you see something going down, if you can prevent it, do it peaceably if you can. Sometimes you got to be a hero if somebody's doing something crazy, but being a hero can cost you your life too. So be very careful. Don't be that crazy. But, you know, you got to protect sometimes. I'm talking purely protection. Don't start anything. Do not advocate violence and or any kind of law breaking. I'm not going there, okay? Don't break any laws and don't commit violence. But you can do, you know, self-defense. That's legitimate. Just make sure it's self-defense. Or, you know, if you're really saving somebody else's life, you're being a hero, that's your call. No greater love is there than he who lays down his life for another, right? Paraphrasing something said by Jesus Christ. All right, so there's other things to come up in 2021. There is Iran. Maybe not as tense as it was. That Trump is out of the picture. He's out there pounding that pressure on Iran. But Israel hinted to the idea that, you know, hey, they just might go unilateral and do it themselves if Biden took office. When Biden's taken office, will they do it? Well, they really wanted the United States to do it. And another question is, can they do it? They can make a hit at it, but how good can they do it? Because they got to fly across the world. They got to go way out there to hit Iran, and they won't have logistic support, perhaps. They won't be able to refuel. That's a long-range sortie. It's a very difficult proposition flying into a heavily fortified area like Iran with all their anti-missile stuff, all their anti-aircraft stuff. Yeah, and the Iranians will know they're coming, most likely. So they got to fly across Iraq or come up around somehow the Persian Gulf, or ain't going to be going over the Caspian Sea. The Russians would catch them. So how they do it? Might come through the Persian Gulf because Saudi Arabia would be running into them. Maybe even Saudi Arabia would be the stage base. That might make the difference if the Israelis would sneak through Saudi Arabia, because now all at once Saudi Arabia and the Israelis are on the same side. They might pull up with Saudi Arabia. Also wants to hit Iran. Because Iran's been hitting them in their oil fields. So it's kind of interesting that we have an East-West alliance within the Muslim world between the Shia and the Sunni, and Israel seems to be in there with the Sunni. Who would imagine that? Strange times. The enemy of my enemy is my friend for a little bit. Yikes, I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm kind of thinking it might be in bluff, huff and puff. If someone really thought Trump would make it strike, and maybe Trump, I think his goal, they did tempt Iran. They tried to bait Iran. They tried to make Iran mad enough to hit back. And they just didn't quite do it. Iran was like, you know, Iran smelled that bait in the trap. They really were tempted, but they didn't quite jump in the trap. Imagine that. Imagine that. But Iran has China behind them now. They've got a deal with China. China's put a lot of money into Iran. So it's going to be interesting. So that brings up the other question, China. Where's China going? China's still growing. China will gain influence. China's buying islands in the Caribbean, basically. Well, buying land on islands. They're setting up port facilities. They're setting up their Belt and Roads initiatives all around the United States. They got, they're going into the Caribbean islands, maybe the Bahamas. The United States should be sitting out there making superior deals to counter that. I think human missile crisis times many times over. That may be what we're going to face in not too many distant years. While we're focused now over in South China Sea, they're sneaking right up under our back door. And there's all the influence they're getting within all our countries, including right here in the United States. Suddenly the tension with them's ratcheted down a lot. They may be making more inroads. But there is one interesting wrinkle in all that. Pompeo got China declared to be committing genocide against the Uyghurs. I don't know how Biden would walk that back, because suddenly that's not going to look too good to the Muslim community. Oh, it's okay to do that. what they're doing on there, because now the attention's been put on pulling that back. Might be rough on the optics, maybe. That is, if the most of the Muslim worlds just aren't too much on the take with expectations of money and dole from China. We shall see. I don't know, but I'm still thinking China's like a whole. The China's a country. We call them Red China, and what's their symbol? The animal, the dragon. Red dragon. You gotta remember in the Bible, when they talked about sea, it was lands outside of Israel, countries outside of Israel. So they saw something rising up out of the sea in a certain book at the end of the Bible, right? Sounds a lot like that. Sounds interesting, is it? Where's the 200 million come from that crossed the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in the east? Might be. Are we there? A lot of people think we're living there right now. Interesting. Keep your eyes wide open and head on the swivel, my friends. We are in interesting times. So what we do know is they're wanting to put the Great Reset upon us. And I had some, oh, Great Reset, that's conspiracy theory. Oh, I posted something about Great Reset on my YouTube channel, and several people say, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Okay, excuse me. That is the position of the World Economic Forum. It's quite championed by them and by the head of the International Monetary Fund. And there's several big corporations, including our big media corporations, that are signed up into this as sponsors. Go to the World Economic Forum website and look at their corporate sponsor list. It's a who's who list. And here's the things that, Klaus Schwab, the head of this, he might sound good. Yeah, it all sounds good on the surface until you start really contemplating what it really means. It's like the Georgia Guidestones, except that first thing, to hold the population down to no more than 500 million, which you realize that means almost everybody's got to go bye-bye. Of course, that's not written in stone, is it? No. But the Great Reset. Well, you know that David Rockefeller, before he passed away, he was really extolling on China. He said, this is the model for the world to follow. So maybe that's the road in the Great Reset. Problem is, and there was just an article come out and said, there was another article that came out just a couple months ago. Said, oh, 2021, this is a year for the Great Reset. This is the perfect year to start it. Wow, where'd they get that? That's a bridge. It's like almost sounds like a bridge too far when they talk about getting, I will have no property, I'll have no privacy, and I'll be happy. I will own nothing. I'll have no privacy, and I've never been happier. Wow. The year that they want all that in place, 2030. But it don't all stay like it is right now until 2029, and you snap a finger in 2030, you got that. There has to be some transition period. Now they're talking 2021. I go to deagle.com. Yeah, the United States don't look too good according to their projections for 2024. But hey, maybe they're just got an attitude. Maybe they're sore. It's a big aerospace trade type website. Why do they have to do that why do they have to put those kind of projections in there? What's that got to do with things? They like to talk about sale of aircraft and aerospace items, weapon systems. So why in the world did they have to go into that? And they posted that years ago, and they keep it up, and they defend it. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, my friends, I don't know. What I do know is in the end, we win. So we got to hang in there together. We got to form our communities. We got to have each other's backs. We got to trade amongst each other, buy local. So what do you do? What should you do to maintain our freedoms? You can join the Freedom Restoration Foundation. The links to that will be below. info@freedomrestorationfoundation.org. Right now, put freedom in the subject line. Form tribe networks. Put tribe in the subject line, same email. Having as many communities. We're still working toward that. And we should have a website up not too future for the Freedom Restoration Foundation. and we're going to be working sanctuary states and things like that. We're already working it in some areas, and we're also working on other legislative events. We've been writing a lot of letters. We've got some things we're doing. So I'll go more into that in the future. All right. So, and we've got a website, not a website. We've got a Facebook group. We just post all kind of stuff. All right. All that said, there's a couple of other things laying out there, just outliers, things that could happen. We know our sun's getting stronger and stronger as we're going into, well, it's been really weak, but we're going to the grand solar, we're going into a solar maximum of the cycle we're in. And it came out of this minimum, which was a low minimum, really low minimum, historically low, but it's coming up totally but over the last several cycles. But we've had a trend line going down the last few years of solar maximum getting increasingly weaker. And the projections was this one's going to be really weak. But there are some saying, well, that last period was so compressed in time that our overall analysis shows the time compression of each cycle has to do with the strength of the next cycle. And so there is a smaller group that's projecting this is going to be a very energetic cycle. All that said, our Earth's magnetic field has been dropping steadily for some long time. It's the early 1800s. And that drop has just accelerated. And the poles are starting to move a lot faster. Our magnetic field strengths are getting weaker and weaker real quick. The sun comes out punching when our shields are down, it could hurt. It could get us on our power grid. This is something I've been working diligently to try to get hardened, and we'll work that. Now, some people say, Greg, you're just fear-mongering. No, I have hope for the future. I've got another channel called Galactic Grays. I really hope we can have a big, bright future. But we got to get through these times we're in. To get through these times, some things need to be done. We need to harden our power grid. We need to preserve our freedoms and our economy too. We got to keep our economy intact. If we rip each other to pieces, we're nobody. If we can find a way to put on rose-colored glasses of the others to understand where they're coming from and to start communicating and to start building bridges, we're better off if we can do that. I don't know that we can. The tensions are so high. I don't know if this country will survive. If it don't, I hope we can have a peaceful divorce if it comes to that. If it comes to that. But, we will be, a house divided against itself cannot stand. So if we have to divide, at least let's not be divided against ourselves. At least let's just divide. The Soviet Union did that. So it has been done, that there has been secessions and divisions without warfare. Maybe that'll work if we come to that. I said if. And that depends on the tensions that are existing in the country today. If we can, most of the people in this country, look, there's a big middle in this country that's getting ignored. These two sides over here just scrapping. If somehow we don't let the scrapping overcome us, we might put it back together. But the tensions really, that scrapping has gotten really intense. Really intense. It's going to be hard to keep it together. It really will. And it don't help when the winners say they're coming out for peace and seem to be throwing fuel on the fire. Don't help the other side throws fuel on the fire either. But that's all I'm saying right now. There's fuel going on the fire. Hope it don't make a funeral pyre. All right. So yeah, if you notice I'm not upbeat, it's because it's a somber topic here. This is a very somber topic. And I did lose a guy that used to work for me for years. Wonderful man, Eddie Gardner. He's got his graveside service tomorrow. I'm expecting to go to it. Really good man. So I might show my phone, find a really good picture of him. I might show it on here one day. He was a good man. He helped me do a lot of stuff. So, we got some channels telling us every day we're going to get hit by a storm of asteroids. There's a planet coming in, we'll be dragging them. That's not out there. That's not. We'd see that coming for years, something like that. They're going to sneak a planet up on us. Not with so many amateur astronomers and big time astronomers, and no, everybody don't work for NASA. Okay, that's Boulder Dash, as Colonel Potter used to say. boulder dash, horse feathers. Another term he used to like to use, right? Remember MASH? I mean, you remember MASH. So, yeah, I did a video on that. I said New Bureau comes not this way. Doesn't mean we couldn't get smacked by one. We do. There's a lot of them within our inner solar system. Where they come from, you can tell that they come further away. They're going to come with a higher velocity. A Mau was interstellar because it had a very high velocity. We've had 2 interstellar objects in the past couple of years come through. Very interesting. One, well, like it's probably kind of like a comet. That the other, there's a lot of debate on it right now. It's interesting, to say the least. So all that said, yeah, we could get hit by an asteroid. It could happen anytime. The probability in any given year is low, but the probability of it taking you out, because the aggregate probability of the consequences are so high, if it does hit one, if a big enough one hits, that your probability of suffering from it's not trivial. Let me put it that way. It's not anywhere near trivial. So it could happen. There's stuff in the Bible that sounds like that. There's also the island of Palma that's got the huge rock that the whole side of the mountain could slide in the ocean. Some people think that would create a tsunami that would take out the eastern seaboard of the United States. Some people debate that. Well, hopefully we won't find out, but those volcanoes are waking up. So that would not cause that kind of tsunami. But an asteroid striking the ocean, which is the most likely place to hit, could cause a very significant tsunami. On land, yeah, we can figure out what that looks like too. So let's hope these things don't happen, but they could. Whatever the case is, just one more thing to be prepared for. But one of the reasons to develop space is to be better to take something that might hit us and wipe us out and turn it into resources for the future. Take a negative and turn it into a positive. Get the power grid hardened. You guys get prepared. We keep our freedom. We keep this country glued together, and we got a huge, bright future. Ben Franklin said, when somebody asked him what they did after they did the Constitution Convention, he said, "We just created a republic if you can hold on to it." I paraphrased that, but basically that's what he said. If you can maintain it. We just created a republic if you can maintain it. That's going to be a big challenge here in the next few years. And it really isn't because of Biden or Trump. It's because of the great systemic division that we have in this nation today. As Elon Musk observed, yeah, a lot of that is due to social media. So, all right, my friends, enough said. Enough said. So, I'm going to say with that is, so Greg, we saw your crystal ball. We saw. All right. I'm going to say thank you for watching. Buckle up. Get prepared. Hope and pray for the best, but be prepared for the worst. Never panic. Always keep your eyes wide open and head on the swivel. And with all that, I'm going to say goodbye.